25th in his first, top 25 in his first PT.
Chad, on the other hand, he's in his mid-20s. He's been playing since he was like 13. I've known him for pretty much that long. Very good player. He plays on and off. He's sort of had periods where sometimes he's playing a little bit. Sometimes he starts getting, he's got the fever again. But he recently top-8'd the SCG Open back in New Jersey, so he's starting to play a lot more Magic.
Yeah, he top-8'd the Standard Open in Somerset. Yeah, so he was able to do that with Jund.
With Jund. Loves Jund. Plays it pretty much in every format. So not surprised to see him here playing it in Legacy.
A love of Jund. Someone that actually loves it. Wow. Takes a lot. Demestrio is going to start off with a Scalding Tarn here. And you're going to see a Thoughtseize here from Kastel. We thought maybe, most of the time, these Rug Delver decks are going to play something on turn 1, a Ponder or what have you. Here is Demestrio. He's got a Forcible, a Forked Bolt, a Nimble Mongoose, a Lightning Bolt, and 2 Wastelands, one of which I wouldn't be surprised to see him fire off next turn. But let's see what Kastel is going to take with this Thoughtseize.
Interesting, Demestrio didn't decide not to lead with the Nimble Mongoose on turn 1.
I am surprised as well.
Possibly because he was afraid of cutting himself off of red mana, which he might have needed. Maybe he doesn't know what the matchup is just yet.
Sure.
So, kind of understandable there. Obviously, if you're playing against elves, you want to make sure you can cast that Fork Bolt and Lightning Bolt. So, this is probably one of those situations where the Master just didn't know what he was playing against.
Well, Nimble Mongoose is the card that's taken there by Thoughtseize. Wasteland going to take care of the Badlands for Kastel. Demestrio is going to pass the turn back, and Kastel misses. Wow, so he kept the one lander and got punished immediately by Demestrio.
At this point, I think Demestrio, it's worth actually just getting a Nimble Mongoose in play. Oh, it's much more worth it now. But did he pass?
That looks to be the case. Looks like Kastel's probably going to have to discard here again.
What do you think that could be the reason why he wouldn't cast the Nimble Mongoose?
The Mongoose got taken by the by the Thoughtseize. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
So looks like Demestrio just playing the waiting game here, not able to take advantage of the fact that Kastel doesn't have any lands actually right now.
Yeah, but I mean this favors him so much because Kastel's deck list, if you take a look at it, as far as basics are concerned, he does have a forest and he does have a swamp, so he can fade a wasteland. But if Demestrio happens to draw a Stifle, which he does have 3 copies of, he'll be able to take care of a fetch land. So Kastel's in a pretty bad spot right now, trying to figure out what to discard now.
Yeah, Demestrio does have another wasteland in his hand, so obviously not really in a good position for Chad. Chad's going to have to start drawing his basic land. He does have a Sylvan Library in play, so if you can somehow get that to resolve, but that's going to probably rely on him drawing one of his basics and then playing the Grove of the Burn Willows and casting it. Demestrio does have a Forcible, but currently he just has red cards in his hand.
He's just basically looking for any creature or any cantrip card. Spell Pierce to the draw. Somehow he hasn't cast a Brainstorm or a Ponder, and his one creature got Thoughtseize. So if he just finds anything, he can function. Looks like Kastel has a Grove of the Burn Willows here. Actually, looks like he might have another one in his hand. I'm not quite sure. Maybe even sandbagging the first one.
Yeah, I think because of the fact that he had a Sylvan Library in his hand, he was trying to, ensure of maybe getting into play. But again, Demestrio has a Spell Pierce anyway, so it's going to be really tough for Chad to actually resolve that Sylvan Library if he does draw basic land.
It's going to be very, very hard to do.
So it's like Chad's going to let Joe gain a life just so he can get back that Punishing Fire, and Demestrio pulls the trigger on the Wasteland there.
Wasteland the draw there for Kastel, so looks like he's starting to find his way into a couple of lands here. It took him a little while, but looks like he's not doing as poorly now.
And Demestrio does have both Spell Pierce, Force of Will, and he also has, it looks like, a Daze too, so putting a lot of pressure on Chad's mana, and Chad really doesn't have a lot to work with here. However, Demestrio's still not pressuring him, so if Chad can get on a run here where he can draw 2 or 3 lands, he can start unloading all the spells that are in his hand, particularly Tarmogoyf. Tarmogoyf, very difficult for Rug Delver generally to deal with, so even though Demestrio does have a number of Lightning Bolts and Fork Bolts in his hand, he would have to actually probably 2 for 1 himself in order to deal with it.
Yeah, and it's always, like you said yesterday, and this morning as well, mana screw beats mana flood.
Yep.
A lot of the time. So there is your Grove of the Burn Willows. That's going to come into play, and is he going to go with Tarmogoyf or is he going to go with the Sylvan Library?
He's going to try to get the Tarmogoyf in play. So Demestrio likely to daze this right here.
It's certainly good to daze.
Does he have a daze?
I'm fairly sure he does. I mean, we'll see exactly what Demestrio's going to do. You see the count of Tarmogoyf here, so if this resolves, we're going to get our Tarmogoyf out there, but just a hard cast daze will take care of that.
So Kastel, starting to rebuild his mana here. Demestrio finally draws a threat in Nimble Mongoose, so Finally, something he can commit to the board here.
It took him long enough.
Took him
Jeez.
a while, yeah. Let's see if Chad can get another Tarmogoyf. Oh, he drew Bloodbraid Elf yet. So here's a Sylvan Library. Likely they're going to be run into Spell Pierce here.
Cannot let that resolve. That'll let him actually hit all of his land drops here. So Spell Pierce is going to come down. It's going to take care of the Sylvan Library. It's going to give Demestrio more cards in his graveyard. You see the 2 fetch lands in play over there as well. So I think we are safe to assume that Nimble Mongoose is going to be a 3/3 for the duration of this game.
Yeah, especially with double bolt and fourth bolt in your hand, as well as 2 sack lands. Likely has Threshold right now. So Demestrio sacks one of his lands to find another mana. I believe that probably gives him Threshold. Probably wants to save one of the other ones in case he draws a Brainstorm and wants to kind of reshape his hand.
See Demestrio gonna set his deck just how he wants it. Gonna draw a card, finds a Ponder, his first cantripping card of the game. So he's gonna take a look at the top 3 cards.
Wow. He has a Wasteland and a Stifle on
yeah.
top. So really good Ponder there. He can Wasteland to grow over the Burn Willows, keeping Chad off of red and green mana. And he could also draw that Stifle to stop Chad from actually getting a sack land. So, pretty good Ponder there.
The mana denial strategies of Rug Delver coming into play right now. There's your Wasteland. Get the Grove or the Burn Willows out of here, says Demestrio. Come on in for 3. Mr. Mongoose going to knock Kastel down to 15. I'm going to pass the turn back with just that lone Wasteland. Some major mana issues here for the Jund player. Does have 23 lands in his deck, does Kastel, but Stifle's going to stop the next fetch land.
And Demestrio has a land on top of his library, so he can sack the Scolding Tarn to get rid of it too.
Yeah,
Try to draw
clear
more
that
and more
off.
gas. So Joe firmly in the driver's seat this game. And this is, I think we were actually watching Chad playtest this matchup earlier this round, and it was exactly this matchup, Jund versus Rug Delver, and this is how you lose. I mean, Rug Delver is very good at putting pressure on your mana, and Jund, even though, you wouldn't think it, is actually a pretty mana-hungry deck. Wasteland, Stifle, there's just so many cards that put pressure on your mana.
Plus, you are trying to get the 4 mana to cast Bloodbraid Elf to get that little 2-for-1 out there.
Yeah.
Generate an advantage, maybe hit an insane spell, but Demestrio's deck and Rug Delver overall, it is a mana denial strategy. That's what it does. It basically capitalizes on messing with your mana, and while you take the time to try to rebuild it, it'll kill you with a Delver of Secrets, or a Nimble Mongoose, and potentially a Tarmogoyf, as Fourth Bolt will take care of the Deathrite Shaman, and across comes Nimble Mongoose, going to knock Kastel down to 9, and I believe that Demestrio does have 2 bolts in his hand as well.
Yeah, it looks like he has a Forcible too. Unfortunately,
And he does have the blue
he does
card.
have a Stifle for it. So he does have a way to pitch, and now he's showing Chad that he has double bolt. So Demestrio takes game 1 due to some, I'm not sure, interesting keep there by Chad. He did not mulligan his hand. He kept a 1-land Thoughtseize hand. He probably had a Deathrite Shaman as well, but again, I don't know if he knew he was playing against Rug Delver. I don't think you can keep that hand. But again,
1-lander is very, very risky against
what
them.
do you? Yeah, you don't really know what you're playing against there. Against Rug Delver, if you're playing Jund, there's no way you can keep a 1-land hand.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Had Chad known who he was playing against, maybe he would have mulliganed a little more aggressively there. But either way, Chad loses the first game and goes to his sideboard. And looking at his sideboard, he has some options here. He has 4 copies of Pyroblast, 2 Nile Spellbombs, 1 Umuzao Jete, 2 copies of Duress, 1 Golgari Charm, 1 Krosan Grip, 3 Angel Despair, 1 Ancient Grudge. Obviously, Angel Despair, Krosan Grip, Ancient Grudge, Golgari Charm. Those are cards for other matchups. For this matchup, I could see Duress coming in. I kind of like Jete just because it's one of those cards that's very obnoxious once it's in play. There's not Rug Delver doesn't have a lot of ways to deal with non-creature permanents, at least. So I kind of like bringing in the Jete. Nile Spellbomb, I kind of like Nile Spellbomb too, just because it deals with it kind of shrinks Nimble Mongoose. It also kind of shrinks Tarmogoyf sometimes potentially, but not quite sure there's enough cards in your main deck that you want to cut. So probably not going to bring in the Nile Spellbombs. And 4 copies of Pyroblast. I'm not sure how good Pyroblast is in this matchup.
I don't love it. It's to me it's too reactive. It feels like, and I don't think that's a card because you're gonna leave Bloodbraid Elf in your deck. It's not a card that you always want to hit with the Cascade either.
Exactly. Duress is a much more proactive card, and it does a similar thing to Pyroblast in terms of if you're trying to force through a spell, it can do it. Pyroblast can kill a Delver of Secrets, But I don't think that's something Jund is really worried about. You have plenty of ways to actually deal with the Delver of Secrets.
Yeah.
It's really, you just don't want to draw. You don't want to make too many dead cards. You don't want to have a lot of dead flips off of your Blood Red Elf either. That's one of the few ways that you can actually generate some sort of card advantage.
Yeah.
As far as in his main deck, he has 4 Deathrite Shaman, 4 Dark Confidant, 4 Tarmogoyf, 4 Blood Red Elf. Don't really see him wanting to take any of those cards out. 4 Liliana the Veils, 3 Punishing Fire, 3 Lightning Bolt, 3 Thought Seize. So far, I'm not really seeing many cards that he should take out here. He has 1 copy of Sylvan Library, 3 Hematoric, 1 Maelstrom Pulse. The Maelstrom Pulse is probably the weakest card in this matchup. I can see that coming out for the Jitte. Beyond that, though, maybe... Yeah, beyond that, though, there's not many cards that I want to take out. Maybe you want to shave some of the Liliana the Veils just because of how mana hungry they are.
Yeah, but Liliana's so good against them.
Especially against Nemomongols.
Yeah, it's so good. They typically only have 1 threat out at a time. And some of the other threats, you can make it so they only have 1 threat at a time to catch a Nemomongoose due to Abrupt Decay.
Honestly, you might want to just cut some of the Bloodbraid Elves, just because Rug Delver's strategy is mana denial, so how often do you think you realistically get to 4 mana? I don't know. I think you don't want to have multiple Bloodbraid Elves clog up your hand. That's one of the ways you're going to lose. So maybe shutting some of those numbers to bring in some cheaper spells like Duress might be better suited for Chad after board. So
we'll take a look at what Demestrio is going to do over here. He's got a Grafdigger's Cage, 2 Flusterstorm, 2 Rough and Tumble, Sulfur Elemental, an Ancient Grudge, 3 Submerged, 2 Pyroblast, 1 Zoran Orb, 1 Tormod's Crypt, and a card that we'll bring up on the screen for you guys, 1 Jace's Phantasm, which if you asked me if I was going to see that one today, the answer would be no.
I don't think it's seen a lot of play in any format. I can't recall a format where Jace's Phantasm has actually been a threat.
Yeah, and you see it on the screen here. The 1 mana, 1/1 flyer for blue. Jace's Phantasm gets +4/+4 as long as an opponent has 10 or more cards in his or her graveyard. This one has me baffled.
I guess you could bring it in against Dredge.
Yeah, this one's
not exactly a card that would make me happy that I drew it.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure why this one's in the sideboard, so I'm going to take a look at the other ones. But maybe it'll come to us at some point.
Maybe
here.
He meant to write Jace Mind Sculptor.
Jace the Mind Sculptor. Yeah, it's a really easy thing to mess up there.
Or any other Jace card.
The Rough Tumble, I think, is the easy one to bring in. Takes care of Deathrite Shaman. Going to be able to take care of Dark Confidant as well. So that's a pretty good effect to have. Sulfur Elemental, not really so much for this matchup. Same can be said for Ancient Grudge, even though Kastel does have Amazawashite in his sideboard. So if Demestrio knows that, I could see him wanting to board that in. Submerge, I think, is the pretty easy one to board in, however, in this matchup. If Demestrio controls an island and Kastel controls a forest, he can put a creature back on top, and Kastel's deck is going to control a forest a high percentage of the time. So Kastel's going to immediately take a mulligan down to at least 6 cards here, while Demestrio takes a look at his hand. He's got some bolts. He's got a Stifle. He's got multiple Tarmogoyfs. Looks like he might only have 1 land, though. He looks at a Scalding Tarn and a Brainstorm. So
yeah,
it is a 1-lander, and this is an 18-land deck as Rug Delver. So they do have to keep a lot of 1-landers, and you have to be comfortable doing so. And Brainstorm can help to fix that.
Yeah, Brainstorm. Plus you're on the draw. Plus you have a Stifle, so potentially mana screw your opponent. I think that's a reasonable.
You've already convinced yourself to keep this hand. That's for sure.
I gotta say though, the one interesting thing about Chad's list is he only has 23 lands, whereas a lot of Jund players are running 24. I think it's kind of risky cutting a land from the Jund deck simply because you are mana hungry and you're playing in a format where most decks have Wasteland. So I just don't think you can afford to cut a land. The main way you lose is when you just can't get your mana engine going. Your Punishing Fire engine, you can't get the Blood Ray mana, so cutting a mana seems very risky.
Not to mention his own deck has Wasteland.
Yeah.
So he's going to want to Wasteland his opponent and try to get up to Bloodbraid Elf as well. I'm with you. I think this is a 24-land deck for various reasons. Grove of the Burn Willows plus Punishing Fire being another one of them, where you're going to just be a mana-hungry deck. As you see, Kastel's going to draw his 6 cards, see if he's a little bit happier. It looks like he's got some lands and a Deathrite Shaman. You can make the argument that Deathrite Shaman does act as a land, but it does not actually count as a land, so that's not the healthiest of arguments.
And there are a lot of decks that have 1 mana answers to Deathrite Shaman specifically because of how good it is. And you look at a deck like Rug Delver. Rug Delver plays a very low mana count, but they have a lot of cantrips.
Yep.
And they can actually cycle through their deck much more efficiently, whereas Jund really doesn't do that. So
And their deck is all 1 mana spells outside of Tarmogoyf and a hardcast Force of Will.
exactly. So I think that Jund seems like one of those decks that you really want maybe 24, maybe even 25 lands, because you have a lot of powerful spells. The only way you're going to lose those is if you can't cast them, which we've been seeing here recently.
Submerge, the first draw step there for Demestrio. Demestrio taking a good long look at it. You can tell that he is a little bit newer to the game. He is very skilled, but an old card, like Submerge, you gotta make sure you know what it does.
Yeah, and if we can go back, I think it looks like there's a Badlands in play. So Submerge won't be able to be cast for free just yet. So I don't believe he has a Bolt, so it looks like Chad's going to be able to get at least 1 activation off of that Death Ray.
Actually, it looks like he is considering casting a Lightning Bolt this turn.
Does he have Bolt?
Yeah, I think he does have one in his hand. He also has Nimble Mongoose and Stifle as well, so he's got a lot of options. I think the difficult decision here with Demestrio is which land to get. Does he get the blue-green land to cast the Nimble Mongoose, or does he get the blue-red land to take care of the Death Ray Shaman with the Lightning Bolt? And it looks like that's what he's going to go with. Lightning Bolt, get that Shaman out of here, and Brainstorm is going to have to do some heavy lifting the next turn. Uh-oh, but Kastel draws a Thoughtseize. Oh, boy.
So, pretty good draw there for Kastel. He's able to Thoughtseize away the Brainstorm, which is huge because Demestrio doesn't have any other mana, and he went for the Volcanic Island for the turn 1 Bolt. So now he's not going to be able to Brainstorm, and he has no green mana to actually cast any of his threats.
Yeah, the big question here is he going to take the Brainstorm? I think that's the easy take in this situation.
I can't imagine not taking Brainstorm here. You're going to leave him with, a Stifle and a Submerge. You don't even have a Forest in play. And you don't have a Sackland. You have a Grove of the Burn Willow. So you can actually cast all the spells in your hand and not worry about it.
Oh, boy. Is he going to go with Submerge? It looks like he's just taking a look at Submerge. Now it's decision-making time for Kastel. You see him writing down the cards from the Thoughtseize.
Obviously, if Demestrio top decks a land and he casts a Tarmogoyf, it's unfortunate, but he has 2 Tarmogoyfs, so you can't get both of them. And the thing is, Demestrio's deck, like we were just talking about, it doesn't have a lot of lands, and it relies on those cantrips to get there. So, yep, Chad comes to the same conclusion, decides to take the Brainstorm.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is a 17-land deck, so if he peels land on you, good beats. As the Delver of Secrets is the card that is drawn there, and if he draws a backup Brainstorm, Ponder again, there's nothing you can do to control that. But I think taking the Brainstorm gives Kastel the best opportunity to win the game, as Kastel draws a Grove of the Burn Willows for the turn.
It looks like he actually drew a Verdant Catacombs for the turn.
Okay.
So he had the Punishing Fire Grove combo. So he's going to Punishing Fire the Delver. Surprised he didn't just sacrifice the Verdant Catacombs because he knows there's a Stifle in Joe's hand. I'm
a little bit surprised by that too. Maybe he's inducing and wants. Okay, I think inducing. You can tell right now. Yeah, he plays the Verdant Catacombs. So he wants to induce the Stifle right now. I actually kind of like that. I do.
So Demestrio draws a Wasteland. It is not a green source. Well, and Wasteland's not that effective considering Chad does have 2 other lands in his hand.
Kastel's going to sacrifice this right now. He says, would you like to stifle that? And he's going to patiently wait.
I can't imagine not wanting to stifle.
Daring him to stifle the Verdant Catacombs. Will Demestrio oblige?
The only thing I think of is Demestrio's maybe considering if I draw a Force of Will, I want to have a blue card to pitch to it. But it looks like he's going to just try to keep Chad off of mana. Again, I don't agree with you. I don't think that was a good play for Chad because now he's actually putting a lot of pressure on him to get green mana in play. Look at he has a Grove of the Burn Willows and a Bayou in his hand, but the Grove is really a card that you don't want to lose to Wasteland especially because you have the Punishing Fire. And so if you're going to lose that and you're going to have the Bayou in play, if Demestrio draws another Wasteland, you're off of green mana. So even though Demestrio has nothing in play, you don't have any access to green mana.
Maybe a little too cute.
I think it was a little too cute. Yeah, I'd rather just make a Stifle dead than bait him into casting it.
Sure. Yeah. Brainstorm, the card drawn here for Demestrio this turn, so he's going to go a digging.
Does he have a Pyroblast? Yes. I was going to say, I believe Chad did draw a Pyroblast that turn, so I would 100% Pyroblast there.
Kastel draws his card. Can he find a creature to do anything with?
Be a great draw here.
2 mana.
Dark Confidant. All right. So that's a good draw too. Demestrio does have a Submerge though, and because Chad ended up playing the Bayou instead of the Grove of the Burn Willows,
which I think is correct.
You think that's correct? Just
Yeah,
you don't want to lose the grove?
I don't want to lose the growth because of punishing fire.
Okay.
As you see, Demestrio, I think he just drew that lightning bolt to take care of that. So Demestrio still has that submerge in his hand, which Kastel does know about from that prior thought seize. Just going to pass the turn back. So little draw go action, and as you have said in the past, mana screw normally favors the person who's doing mana flutter, not really doing anything.
So Chad, let's see if he has a threat here. Oh, we have a Tarmogoyf. So Tarmogoyf likely going to get submerged at some point. Demestrio can cast it for free, so he can choose to cast it in Chad's draw step after he wastelands the. Well, no, now he knows about the Grow the Burn Will, so he can't keep him up for green.
We're going to get our Tarmogoyf die out there on the table for you guys so we can see just exactly how big that Lurgoyf is.
So Demestrio finally draws another land that allows him to search for a green source. So his own Tarmogoyf could start coming down here. And now you have to figure, again, mana flood versus mana screw. Mana screw usually wins out because once they draw out of it, Demestrio has plenty of good threats in his hand that he can start unloading onto the table.
Yeah, Demestrio has all the goods in his hand, multiple Tarmogoyfs, Nimble Mongoose, all of that good stuff. He is more than good to go at this moment. He just needed the green mana to be able to cast it. You see a 4/5 Tarmogoyf in the house.
So I think Demestrio is okay with just passing the turn back. I'm surprised he actually did not tap the Wasteland and leave Spell Pierce mana out, because a Liliana the Veil would be huge right now.
Yeah, it certainly would be.
You know, even a Blood Braid into Liliana, he has no way to stop that right now. I know you're gonna have. I know that you want the potential to be able to Wasteland something. But at the same time, if Chad draws a Wasteland, he's probably going to go after your green source. So you don't have to worry about the Wasteland on your Wasteland while you're tapped out. And you're probably not going to Wasteland here, are you? Because it turns off your Submerge. You're probably going to go after Bayou. And you know he has a Grow with the Burn Willows in his hand. That's really the card that you want to go after.
That's the card that you want at Wasteland, yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. Hopefully he can dodge a Liliana the Veil, or, you know... It looks like Chad didn't draw anything too threatening.
Ooh, I don't like the... do you like the no attack?
No, I don't like the no attack at all. I definitely attack there. You have a Punishing Fire in your
Yeah, you have the Punishing Fire Grove combo. I think you get in there, you're able to get 4 points of damage through, because Demestrio conceivably cannot block. As you see, he's going to submerge Tarmogoyf up to the top now.
Yeah, worst case scenario, you attack and he just submerges there. Either way, though, he's gonna do it no matter what.
Yeah, it's a submerge on your Tarmogoyf, or it's a Force of Will on your Punishing Fire that you can probably get back. So I think you're happy with that as well. So a little bit surprised not to see an attack,
because your Tarmogoyfs would just bounce off each other. It's not like if he forces it, your Tarmogoyf dies. So Chad in rough shape here, because the submerge basically turns off his draw step. He didn't draw anything really relevant last turn, and now he's just gonna draw another Tarmogoyf, which basically can't really do much. Chad's under a lot of pressure too, because Demestrio already got him down to 12, and now Grow with the Burn Willows is going to go away, so he can't actually. Oh, he has a second
backup. Okay, so there's a Tarmogoyf.
So this is a good situation for Joe. Joe can attack with both Tarmogoyfs. I believe he has a Spell Pierce, so if Chad actually tries to Punishing Fire after combat, he'll have the Spell Pierce ready. And if he has another mana, he can actually cast the Nimble Mongoose this turn as well.
Yeah, Kastel in some serious trouble here at the hands of Demestrio.
So Demestrio looks like he might potentially be able to force through 4 damage, drop Chad to 8.
And he's coming in with both, just as you had predicted. Kastel's going to block 1 Tarmogoyf, going to put 4 points of damage through. Kastel going to go down to 8. Demestrio going to play a Volcanic Island, tap that Tropical Island to deploy that Nimble Mongoose. Kastel going to try the Punching Fire. Spell Pierce takes care of it. And Demestrio, I believe, only has 1 card left. So now Kastel, he's got to turn the corner on his own. He's got some comeback work to do.
Umezawa Jite, not a bad top deck if he gets there, but no.
Him. Spell Pierce it, which, not paying.
Not paying.
Yeah, not paying ever.
So, both players in top deck mode here. Demestrio is basically going to be able to get in for 4 here.
Tarmogoyf has to block. Tarmogoyf has to block Tarmogoyf.
Has to block Tarmogoyf. So
Kastel's going to go down to 1.
To 1. Punching Fire comes back. He's able to deal with 1 of the Tarmogoyfs.
Yeah, he's going to fire that off. Untap here, so Kastel has to draw. He has to draw something of relevance, or he's dead.
Liliana, Abrupt Decay.
He's tapping manas.
Blood Braid Elf.
Okay, another
okay,
Tarmogoyf.
good draw. Now he can start getting the punishing fire combo going. Demestrio just has a Force of Will, which he doesn't have another card to cast it with.
Now this entire time, Kastel has to fade a lightning bolt, but he has no control over that.
Yeah,
obviously.
he has no control over it, but he's doing everything he can with what he can work with. So has the punishing fire combo going, has double Tarmogoyf now. Demestrio is at 17, so he can't really start putting pressure on him just yet, and Chad's only at 1, so yeah, Chad has to basically fade a couple of turns of lightning bolt, fork bolt.
Yeah, it feels like a lot of turns to me.
Submerge.
Oh boy, aggressive.
Let's see what happens here.
Very, very aggressive.
Very aggressive.
But he is. I think he realizes that the more draw steps that Demestrio gets, the worse it is.
Yeah,
for him.
and I like, and we've seen this all the time where
dark
people just try to be a little too aggressive here, or not aggressive enough, rather.
Now, this is interesting here, the Dark
Oh,
Confidant.
wow.
So now here's a Ponder by Demestrio. Hit 1, hit 2, hit 3. That's a.
It looks like there's a lightning
I think
bolt
that's a
there.
lightning bolt. Yeah, that's a pretty easy keep. Yep, that's a red card.
Yeah, at this point, you don't have to slow roll. You know he has a punishing fire in his hand. That's
Yeah,
it.
I mean, what he's gonna do? Because I understand why he's doing this too. Is because he's gonna make it so that Kastel like taps out his mana, or whatever. Yeah, punishing.
But you know
fire.
he has one
Yeah,
card,
so now you
so-
just you
yeah.
just ding him. Sure. Yep, and that's it. So Joe Demestrio is going to win this match 2-0 over Chad Kastel. Rug Delver is going to defeat Punishing Jund, and Demestrio is going to move on to 5-1.